The Mojave Desert stretches endlessly, a vast expanse of golden sands, interspersed with rugged rocky outcrops. The first light of dawn casts long, trembling shadows across the dunes, painting the terrain in gradients of amber and ochre. The air is still, yet carries a faint dry whisper as the wind stirs the fine grains of sand into transient ripples, leaving ephemeral patterns that vanish with the rising sun. In the distance, jagged cliffs rise like silent sentinels, their surfaces scorched by countless suns, etched with the history of millennia. The barren soil cracks under the heat of the early morning rays, releasing a faint, earthy scent that hints at the harshness of this unforgiving land. Sparse vegetation clings desperately to existence. Spiny cacti, brittle shrubs, and resilient desert flowers, their muted colors fading into the vast monotony of sand and stone. Birdsong is almost non-existent here, replaced instead by the subtle hum of insects and the occasional distant cry of a lone hawk patrolling the skies. Every sound is measured deliberate and carries weight in this quiet wilderness where survival is written into every blade of grass and grain of sand. The wind picks up slightly, scattering dust into dancing veils that twist and shimmer under the sunlight, giving the impression of phantoms gliding over the desert floor. The landscape appears deceptively serene. Yet the sun climbs higher, and the temperature begins its relentless ascent. Shadows shrink, and the heat starts to radiate off the stones, creating wavering mirages that blur the horizon. The desert is alive, but it does not welcome intruders lightly. Every element, the shifting sand, the brittle vegetation, the distant rocks, carries with it a quiet menace, an unspoken warning that only those perfectly adapted can endure. Here, nothing moves without reason. The air vibrates with tension, as though the landscape itself holds its breath. Each ridge, each hollow, and each sun-baked stone conceals hidden challenges, sudden drops, scalding surfaces, and the subtle signs of scarcity. Even the stillness feels charged, pregnant with anticipation, as though the desert is preparing for a drama that unfolds far beneath the surface, unseen by casual eyes. This is a land of extremes where the faintest misstep can have lasting consequences. The winds, the heat, and the barren expanse are not mere backdrop. They are silent forces shaping life, enforcing the unyielding laws of survival. In this stark theater, every shadow conceals a story of endurance, every flicker of movement hints at hidden battles, and the vast silence serves as both a sanctuary and a warning. Beneath the relentless sun and the shifting sands of the Mojave and Sonoran deserts lives a creature built for endurance and resilience, the desert tortoise. Its shell, domed and weathered, bears the marks of countless seasons, each groove and ridge a testament to survival in a land where water is scarce and the sun's glare is unforgiving. The limbs, thick and sturdy, are designed not for speed, but for stability and digging, allowing the tortoise to carve burrows deep into the parched earth where temperatures remain tolerable and moisture lingers. Every aspect of its body, from the curvature of its carapace to the texture of its legs, speaks of adaptation honed over millennia. This tortoise is not a mere wanderer of the sands. It is a keystone presence within its ecosystem. Its burrows provide shelter not only for itself, but also for a host of smaller desert creatures, lizards, rodents, and insects that find refuge from the merciless heat. The tortoise's grazing patterns influence vegetation distribution, subtly shaping the delicate balance of desert flora. Its diet, consisting of tough desert plants, cacti, flowers, and the occasional herbaceous sprout, ensures that the sparse vegetation remains in equilibrium, preventing any single species from dominating and preserving biodiversity in the harsh landscape. Despite its slow and deliberate movements, the desert tortoise exhibits remarkable sensitivity to its environment. It senses shifts in temperature and humidity, adjusting its behavior to avoid the most punishing conditions. For months at a time, it remains hidden underground, almost entirely dormant, conserving energy and shielding itself from the extremes above. Yet when it emerges, it does so with precision, navigating the terrain with a measured awareness, seeking food, water, and suitable locations for laying eggs. Its presence is quiet but significant, a silent participant in the ongoing dance of survival. The tortoise's longevity and reproductive strategy are equally extraordinary. Living for decades in a region where life is often fleeting, it reproduces conservatively, laying a limited number of eggs with meticulous timing, ensuring that the next generation has the best chance of reaching maturity. These reproductive behaviors are deeply tied to the rhythms of the desert, attuned to rainfall patterns, seasonal vegetation, and subtle climatic cues. Through these instincts, the species demonstrates an intimate connection to its environment, acting almost as a barometer of ecological health. Visually, the tortoise's slow, purposeful gait and the gentle rocking of its shell as it moves lend a cinematic quality to its presence. Its eyes, dark and reflective, convey a patient awareness rather than emotion, observing the world with quiet vigilance. It is a creature defined not by flashy movements or immediate danger, but by endurance, resilience, and the subtle influence it exerts over the life around it. In this way, the desert tortoise embodies the persistent, understated power of adaptation, a living monument to survival in one of Earth's most unforgiving habitats. The desert tortoise is more than an inhabitant. It is an engineer of life in the desert, a stabilizing force that shapes the ecosystem in ways both visible and hidden. Its existence illustrates a principle fundamental to all life. Here, survival depends on understanding and responding to the land's relentless demands. Within its slow, deliberate actions lies the story of an entire ecosystem's balance, a quiet yet essential thread in the tapestry of the desert's harsh beauty. As the desert sun climbs higher, the arid landscape grows increasingly oppressive. The ground, already cracked from weeks of relentless heat, radiates warmth that seems to shimmer across the horizon. The sparse vegetation wilts under the sun's glare, and every shadow shrinks, offering diminishing refuge. In this unforgiving environment, life teeters on the edge. Predators roam the expanse, scanning for movement, for any sign of vulnerability that can be exploited. A coyote moves with calculated patience along a ridge, ears pricked, nose twitching, sensing the faintest disturbance in the sand. Above, a red-tailed hawk circles its sharp eyes, searching for small, slow-moving prey, shadowing the terrain with quiet menace. Amidst this, the desert tortoise adjusts to the subtle cues of danger. Though largely hidden, its presence is marked by the faint scrape of claws against sandy soil, the barely audible shift of its heavy shell. Its burrows, dug deep into the earth, provide temporary sanctuary, yet the entrance is perilous. Above, temperatures soar, and any extended exposure increases risk exponentially. Every movement is deliberate, calculated, guided by instinct honed over millennia. The tortoise senses the approach of potential threats and the shifting patterns of heat that dictate the safest times to forage and emerge. The balance of survival is delicate. Even minor miscalculations, a slightly earlier emergence, a misjudged path across open ground, could result in immediate danger. Coyotes, quick and opportunistic, exploit these vulnerabilities, their presence invisible until the last moment. The desert is a theater of such encounters, where each species operates according to its survival imperative. For the tortoise, avoidance is key. Remaining unseen and untroubled is as vital as the ability to find nourishment or water. The silent tension of predator and prey creates a rhythm that pulses through the desert, a constant test of adaptability. Natural hazards compound the threat. The relentless sun dries the soil, making the ground unstable in patches, while sudden gusts of wind whip sand into blinding clouds. Each movement across this terrain demands precision. Even the most minor lapse can expose the tortoise to both environmental and predatory dangers. Subtle changes in the wind, the faintest rustle among rocks, the distant cry of a hawk. Each informs the tortoise's decisions, guiding it to safety, without revealing itself unnecessarily. This interplay of predator presence, environmental pressure, and the tortoise's innate responses forms the first crescendo of danger. The desert is not passive. It tests every inhabitant, continuously rewarding attentiveness and punishing hesitation. The desert tortoise embodies this delicate equilibrium, demonstrating through measured action how life persists amid relentless adversity. In these opening trials, the species' survival strategies are revealed, highlighting the intricate dance of perception, timing, and endurance that defines existence in this harsh, sun-scorched land. The desert heat intensifies as midday approaches, and every surface radiates blistering warmth. Shadows retreat beneath rocks and sparse vegetation, leaving little cover for the creatures that inhabit this harsh expanse. From the vantage of a rocky ridge, a coyote surveys the terrain with patient precision eyes, scanning the sand for any movement that might betray the presence of its quarry. Below, a hawk circles silently, talons poised, shadow gliding over the parched earth, seeking an opening. The desert is alive with tension, a high-stakes theater of survival, where any motion can trigger pursuit. Within this unforgiving environment, the desert tortoise begins its cautious emergence. It moves slowly, deliberately, scraping its claws against the sand as it navigates open ground, always conscious of the dangers above and around. Though its speed is modest, every motion is purposeful, informed by instinct, honed over millennia of evolutionary pressure. As it ventures further from the relative safety of its burrow, subtle environmental cues guide its shadows, shifting temperature variations, the faint scent of predators carried on the dry wind. Each step is measured, a silent calculation that determines whether it remains safe or becomes prey. Suddenly, the coyote detects the faintest disturbance. A slight shift of sand, a glint of shell under the sun, and moves with astonishing speed. Its pursuit is relentless, paws kicking up clouds of dust as it closes the distance. Above, the hawk adjusts its flight, swooping lower to track potential prey. The desert tortoise, aware of the looming threat, retreats swiftly toward the nearest shelter. Dust rises in twisting plumes, a chaotic ballet of predator and prey, the air vibrating with urgency. The tension is palpable. A single misstep could mean capture or death. Despite its deliberate nature, the tortoise displays remarkable adaptability. It navigates uneven terrain, slipping into crevices and under shrubs, using every natural feature to obscure its presence. Its shell absorbs the harsh sunlight, deflecting the heat, while its movements minimize exposure. Each retreat is calculated, a testament to survival instincts, refined over thousands of years. The predators, meanwhile, adjust strategies, circling, anticipating escape routes, and probing for weaknesses. The desert becomes a dynamic battlefield, where every action matters. Eventually, the immediate threat passes, though the landscape remains hostile. The tortoise finds relative safety near a shallow depression partially shaded by a sparse cactus, pausing to assess the surroundings. The dust settles, and the coyote retreats, momentarily thwarted, while the hawk ascends back into the shimmering heat. This encounter, brief but intense, underscores the precariousness of life in the desert. Survival depends not on strength alone, but on awareness, timing, and the ability to respond instinctively to every challenge presented by both predator and environment. Through this high-stakes episode, the desert tortoise exemplifies the delicate balance of desert life. It does not fight for glory, nor does it rely on speed alone. Its existence hinges on strategy, patience, and an intimate understanding of its surroundings. In this crucible of heat, wind, and predation, each movement is a negotiation with the unforgiving landscape, a living demonstration of endurance and the quiet power of adaptation. As the desert shifts from the scorching intensity of midday to the gentler warmth of late afternoon, a quieter rhythm emerges in this harsh environment. The desert tortoise's life is defined by patience and resilience, not speed or flamboyance. Its reproductive cycle, tightly synchronized with seasonal patterns, ensures that each generation has the best chance of survival amid the unpredictability of rainfall and the extremes of temperature. During the brief window of opportunity following rare desert showers, the tortoises engage in mating behaviors that are understated yet vital, aligning with the natural rhythms of their environment. The ritual is subtle, careful movements, measured interactions, and a reliance on instinct over display, all orchestrated by the pulse of the desert itself. Once mating concludes, female tortoises carefully select sites for laying eggs, often in concealed depressions beneath sparse vegetation or rocky outcroppings. The act is deliberate and slow, each egg deposited with precision buried beneath layers of sand to protect it from the relentless sun and potential predators. In this fragile phase, the eggs are entirely at the mercy of environmental conditions, reliant on the scant moisture retained within the soil to support development. The harshness of the desert ensures that only a portion of these eggs will reach hatching a natural filtration that maintains the delicate balance of the ecosystem. When the hatchlings emerge, they face an immediate gauntlet of challenges. Tiny and vulnerable, they navigate scorching sands, evade predators, and seek moisture while lacking the protective resilience of their elders. Their survival is precarious. The tiniest miscalculation can prove fatal. Yet the species persists through sheer numbers, timing, and the instinctive behaviors encoded in each generation. Even in these earliest stages of life, the desert tortoise demonstrates remarkable adaptability, exploiting every shadow crevice and sheltered patch to endure. This is not the story of a single individual, but of the species as a whole, repeating these ancient patterns with unwavering precision. Throughout this life cycle, the desert tortoise's existence shapes and is shaped by its environment. Its grazing maintains vegetation equilibrium, preventing domination by any single plant species, while its burrows provide refuge for numerous smaller organisms. The interaction is subtle but profound, influencing the broader ecological community and illustrating how survival strategies extend beyond immediate needs to encompass the well-being of the desert itself. In these acts of feeding, digging, and seeking shelter, the tortoise embodies the patient, deliberate persistence necessary for life in one of Earth's most extreme habitats. Even in the relative calm of daily activity, the desert tortoise is never free from danger. Predators remain vigilant, the sun's intensity fluctuates unpredictably, and scarce water sources demand careful timing and navigation. The species thrives not by chance, but through a combination of evolutionary adaptations, learned behaviors embedded in instinct, and a profound attunement to the rhythms of the desert. In observing these patterns, one can appreciate the delicate choreography of life here. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to endurance, reproduction, and the continuation of the species. The desert tortoise's life is a testament to balance and resilience. It does not rush. It does not overextend yet. It survives, reproduces, and supports the broader ecosystem in ways both visible and unseen. Each movement, each selection of nest site, and each cautious forage is a calculated response to the ever-present challenges of the desert. This measured, patient existence defines the species, exemplifying the enduring power of adaptation and the quiet drama of life in a land where only the vigilant thrive. The desert's intensity reaches its peak during the long, sweltering months, testing every form of life within its bounds. The sun hangs overhead, relentless and unyielding, scorching the sands to a temperature that challenges endurance at every step. Water is a scarce, fleeting resource, and the few plants that have survived the brutal heat show signs of stress curling under the sun's dominance. In this unforgiving environment, life hinges on perception and instinct. The desert tortoise, adapted to these extremes over millennia, responds with subtle but profound changes in behavior. Its emergence from burrows is carefully timed, often months before the environment reaches lethal conditions, suggesting an acute sensitivity to temperature, humidity, and soil moisture that humans are only beginning to understand. As the days lengthen and the heat intensifies, every foraging trip becomes a calculated risk. The tortoise must navigate open patches where shade is rare and exposure to predators increases, while also avoiding the debilitating effects of the sun. Coyotes, snakes, and birds of prey patrol the terrain, exploiting any lapse in vigilance. The tortoise's movements are deliberate, almost imperceptible, as it senses the patterns of predator activity and the subtle shifts in the desert's microclimate. Dust rises in faint veils as it advances, each motion measured, conserving energy while maximizing survival potential. This synchronization with environmental cues is a silent testament to evolutionary intelligence, a species attuned not only to immediate threats, but to the larger rhythms of its ecosystem. The scarcity of resources compounds the challenge. Vegetation is sparse, with patches of wilted succulents and brittle shrubs offering minimal sustenance. The tortoise must assess the landscape continuously, seeking areas where food is available without exposing itself to undue risk. Its ability to detect slight changes in moisture or plant vitality guides these movements, allowing it to exploit opportunities invisible to less adapted creatures. This instinctive forecasting, a response to environmental pressure, provides the species with an anticipatory edge in survival. A silent yet decisive adaptation to the desert's extreme volatility. Predation pressure remains constant. Coyotes prowl, utilizing stealth and speed to close in on vulnerable prey, while hawks soar overhead, eyes scanning the sands for the faintest sign of life. The tortoise's response is a choreography of restraint and opportunism. It moves only when necessary, retreats when danger approaches, and uses natural features, rock crevices, cactus shadows, slight depressions in the sand, to conceal its presence. Each successful navigation of these threats reinforces the species' resilience, highlighting the balance between exposure and shelter, risk and reward, survival and demise. The desert tortoise's ability to anticipate environmental extremes becomes most apparent during consecutive days of heat waves and drought. Burrowing patterns shift, periods of inactivity extend, and movement is optimized to coincide with the least perilous conditions. This extraordinary synchronization with the desert's cycles allows the species to endure conditions that would overwhelm less adapted organisms. It is a quiet demonstration of ecological attunement. The tortoise is not merely surviving. It is reading the desert, responding to signals that escape casual observation, and adjusting behavior in a manner that preserves both individual and species survival. As the sun arcs toward its zenith, the desert's intensity peaks, forcing all inhabitants to confront its extremity. The tortoise negotiates this landscape with patience and precision, moving through a gauntlet of hazards while exploiting its evolutionary adaptations. Every step, every retreat, every choice of shelter reflects a profound attunement to the desert's rhythms. In this crucible, the species' survival strategies are fully revealed. Timing, perception, and instinct converge to allow endurance in a land defined by scarcity, heat, and predation. The desert tortoise demonstrates in quiet yet unmistakable fashion that survival is not merely reaction, but anticipation, a living, breathing testament to the power of adaptation in one of Earth's most unforgiving ecosystems. As the sun begins its descent, casting long golden shadows across the Mojave and Sonoran deserts, the landscape assumes a contemplative stillness. The harsh glare softens and the heat recedes, revealing the subtle textures of sand, rock, and resilient vegetation that define this arid realm. Within this expanse, the desert tortoise moves with measured care, a living testament to endurance shaped by millennia of environmental pressures. Its life cycle, from emergence to burrow retreat, from foraging to reproduction, unfolds in quiet harmony with the rhythms of the desert, illustrating a remarkable attunement to both opportunity and risk. The tortoise's presence in the ecosystem extends far beyond its own survival. Its burrows offer refuge to countless smaller creatures, and its grazing patterns influence the distribution and health of desert vegetation. Through these subtle interactions, the species maintains balance in a landscape that offers little margin for error. Each action, whether moving to a shaded area or carefully timing foraging excursions, embodies a sophisticated strategy for enduring extremes, a testament to the intricate interplay between life and environment in this unforgiving habitat. This enduring persistence reflects a broader ecological philosophy. The desert tortoise exemplifies the principle that survival is not determined solely by strength or speed, but by awareness, patience, and adaptability. Life in the desert demands constant vigilance, yet rewards those attuned to its cycles. The tortoise's careful navigation of danger, its deliberate timing, and its responsiveness to environmental cues offer a profound lesson. Existence in such a realm is a continual negotiation with forces larger than the individual, where even the slightest misstep can carry grave consequences. In observing the desert tortoise, one witnesses not merely a species surviving, but an organism fully integrated into the balance of its environment. Its life cycle serves as a mirror reflecting the resilience of the desert itself. The slow accumulation of endurance, the subtle calibration of behavior, and the careful stewardship of energy and resources. Within these patterns lies a universal message. Survival demands harmony with one's surroundings, respect for natural rhythms, and a recognition of life's inherent fragility. As shadows lengthen and twilight deepens, the desert tortoise retreats into its burrow once more, a quiet emblem of persistence and adaptation. The vast landscape around it continues indifferent, yet sustaining a stage upon which countless generations have lived and perished. The tortoise's journey, measured and deliberate, encapsulates the essence of desert life. Survival is neither accidental nor effortless, but the product of attuned instinct, evolutionary refinement, and an intimate understanding of the land. In this way, the desert tortoise stands as a silent philosopher, embodying the enduring power of adaptation and the intricate beauty of life sustained against relentless odds.